I'm not going to play the music here for fear of Joey Ramone's ghost coming to sue my ass to hell, but I do have to note an obvious movie begins or ends by playing Blitzkrieg Bop cliche.
Dad?
Considering Steve Carell is a schlubby dad character, this movie is either a stealth sequel to Dan in Real Life or a stealth prequel to Crazy Stupid Love, and I don't appreciate any of that stealthiness. Kids. I felt bad for Phil there for a second for this morning assault, but then I saw he reads James Patterson novels, so now I'm more like Phil and his terrible reading habits that will probably trickle down to his children, and they will know more about Alex Cross, Michael Bennett, and NYPD Red than Enid and Alfred Lambert.
Do you 1, 2, 3-er?
It works every time.
From what I understand, nothing in parenting works every time, lady. If the movie can't be bothered to come up with a more interesting company name than New Jersey Tax Consultants, then I shouldn't have to bother with coming up with a clever new sin. So, I don't know. I guess this sin does not contain a lap dance?
This house was originally listed at $1.8 million, but now it's $320,000.
God damn it, now we've fallen into a prequel of The Big Short? How many Steve Carell narratives can we fit into this one
Isn't it date night?
Roll marital discourses?
How the potato skins and salmon treating you, Foster?
Just great,
Very
Mike.
good,
Thanks so much.
Dude, I know they're in a rut, but this place shouldn't be emblematic of their ennui. Have you been to a steakhouse that looks like this? They're amazing. They always have the best potato skins. So you, movie, for disparaging a cornerstone of the American economy.
Hey, what's the story?
Oh, okay. Third date.
I kind of like this movie, but it has no business lifting from Annie Hall's wallet. At this point, I expect a waiter that looks exactly like Truman Capote to walk by.
And let me tell you something, folks. This broom and I...
Jesus Christ, you couldn't convince me faster that William Fichtner is a bad guy in this movie if you gave him a shotgun during a bank heist.
Nazrin's feet and tender breasts ached as she tramped through the unforgiving terrain.
Book clubs, or really books. This room is an orgy of evidence that this dude is going through a midlife crisis and that this is his only refuge. Vintage pinball machine? Yep. Friends-style foosball game? Of course. Full-ass version of Rock Band that's been played probably 3 total times? You got it. Phallic-shaped speakers far too big for this space? Have we convinced you that this is a man cave yet? Rolling Rock.
Best decision I have ever made.
Clearly, Kristen Wiig is not referring to the time she agreed to co-star in the MacGruber movie.
I want to take my top off, and I want to get it on with 3 guys at the same time.
You can fault this character for tearing her family apart, but you have to respect that she does have specific goals.
You guys were having sex twice a week?
Yeah, it was that rare.
Yes, rare.
Seriously, more Annie Hall theft? Man, if Phil ends up chasing a lobster behind a refrigerator, I will have had it with this movie.
We have a date tomorrow night.
Great. Okay, well, enjoy the potato skins and the salmon.
Also known as the pescatarian threesome. Also, they have another date tomorrow, but it was just last night that they had their last one, after which Claire said,
Book club tomorrow.
so they're going on 2 dates over the span of 3 nights, sandwiching a couple's event like book club? So what's the real problem in this relationship? If anything, they're spending too much time together. Claire and Phil are reconsidering their relationship while John Mayer's Heartbreak Warfare is moodily playing in the background, and I'm just wondering if there were any cliches the first part of this movie didn't hit.
People make reservations like a month in advance, and so now it's Friday at 7:30 on the bustling island of Manhattan, so no.
Dick Kroll's doing a great job of playing one of these maitre d's, but since I've already seen this power Dick move done 26 years prior in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I'm gonna have to send this in the name of Abe Froman, Sausage King of Chicago.
Okay, we'll be standing over there.
Okay, I've already forgotten about you.
I'm sure he has, because he didn't even take their name and put it on a list.
Triple horn. Party of 2.
Look, if a restaurant's gonna be this fancy, they're not gonna be shouting out names for reservations like a TGI Fridays. Especially if the party hasn't actually checked in yet.
If we're gonna pay this much for crab, it better sing and dance and introduce us to the Little Mermaid.
Taking Sebastian's name in vain.
And she is getting drunk enough to get through what's gonna happen later. Because he likes to do weird stuff. He's gonna call her by his mom's name.
Wait, that's considered weird?
That's Luann from Fergie.
That's pretty hilarious, but how the would Claire know this? Has she taken a really deep dive into the etiology of the Black Eyed Peas? Enough that she could recognize this dude in a profile from across the restaurant?
Oh, wow.
No way that phone from 2010 took that quality of a picture from that distance in a restaurant this dark.
We just wanted to have a few words with you, if that's okay.
And what is this about?
I think you know.
I know we gotta get the mistaken identity plot moving, but why would Phil keep pretending to be Triple Horn? They've already gotten their food, and they're planning to pay for it, which would reveal his true identity anyway. So it makes no sense for this interaction to go beyond 3 seconds.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to pick that risotto up off the ground to eat it.
Tina Fey is so funny in this movie, man. And her chemistry with Steve Carell is next level. So where's this in here? Well, it's because these two haven't reeled off 4 to 5 more of these offbeat comedies like a modern-day Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn.
You were sitting at the table. The girl at the front said you were the triple horn.
Okay, sure, the Olivia Munn character pointed the dirty detectives to the table with the triple horn reservation, but how did these assholes know which restaurant they'd be at? Were they scouring all the restaurants in Manhattan and just happened upon the correct one?
No, he turned it sideways. Kill shot!
Kitchen!
It's a kill shot!
Kitchen people!
Yeah, what's up with the restaurant not giving a about them leaving mid-meal? They went out of their way to mention how expensive it was, but they're okay with the Fosters dining and dashing? They're right outside the back door.
We're all gonna take a little field trip to the Central Park, and you're gonna show us exactly where it is.
Jimmy Simpson Christian Slater's so hard here that I'm pretty sure he thinks he's in a remake of Cuffs.
Why did you bring us to the most deserted place in New York?
Central Park. I know it's nighttime, but it's a Friday night around 8 or 8:30. The population of bird ladies, drunk businessmen, and horned-up teenagers making out alone would be the size of a thriving Midwestern city. Holy shit, these nugget detectives don't give a shit that anyone can see or hear them doing evil shit. Hell, one of them later yells that they're going to kill the Fosters at the top of his lungs. These dickholes are emboldened.
Be a good girl and listen to your husband.
Yeah, be a good girl. Listen to me.
Based on what Phil does to Armstrong and Collins here shortly, there is no signal on Earth that Claire would get right now to understand the plan.
Come on, it's not a game.
Of course not. If it were a game, that would make this game night instead of date night. And it's not like I've ever mixed those two movies up.
In here.
Where? Let me see it.
I mean, how common is Collins to not think that either he or Armstrong should keep an eye on Phil while the other looks under the floorboard? I know it's kind of the point, but this whole sequence is dark as man. Like, even the last part of It Chapter 2 thinks this sequence is too dark. Luckily for the Fosters and this movie, New York City detectives are trained at the Stormtrooper Academy of Aiming at Things.
We are going to die!
I don't want the kids to live with your mother! She's awful!
But still, what is carrying the boat like this gonna do for anyone? They can't see where they're going, and it's only maybe protecting a very small portion of their bodies. The score for this movie was brought to you by the makers of Missile Command, available now on the Atari 2600.
I'm not out of shape. I'm scared.
Probably also out of shape, but semantics. This is clearly an extra that does not live in New York, since a guy puking on the sidewalk outside of Central Park wouldn't, nor shouldn't, garner any attention from passersby.
You took someone's reservation.
I get that this is played for a bit of a goof, but where's the truth and the indignation? Not only did the real Triple Horns not show up for the actual meal, meaning there would be an empty table anyway, even if they did steal a table, they'd be evicted if the actual couple showed up. I have to call out a joke with a faulty premise, dude. It's a reflex at this point. Hell, you should see the hundreds of other sins I cut from this script.
Flash drive? Honey, why are you grabbing my knee?
God damn, I hate it when characters do this. These two have been together long enough that they should immediately know when the other person is using a gesture version of a safe word. Also, why would the two detectives go to the precinct after they lost the Fosters? It's not like they're using any detecting methods to track them down, so this reveal is purely for plot purposes.
Oh my God! The bald and the crazy gay couple date.
Why wouldn't they just tell Hidden Figures what's up at this point? Maybe some other cops are in on whatever this is as well, but surely not all the cops are. They are probably in the best position to get all this out into the open and save their own lives, especially if they point and yell, "Hey, those guys tried to kill us!" But sure, let's do some weird homophobic jokes instead.
Hello.
Landlines.
Katie, are the kids okay?
Payphones.
I could miss the party, but I think rate-wise we're talking somewhere north of 30.
Inflations and babysitting.
Take him over to your house.
Okay, now I'm sensing some kind of element of danger here.
Yeah, but why wouldn't Phil tell her exactly what's going on? Like, hey, don't answer the door for the cops because we're being pursued by some evil ones, and they know exactly where we live. Tell your parents and maybe call us a Saul Goodman lawyer and Yahoo!
We were here, and Will.i.am thinks he left his phone at the table.
For this scene, Tina Fey will recreate 90% of all Parker Posey film performances. Who the writes on the palm of their hand? Happens all the time in movies and TV, but that would sweat off so quick that it would never work. You're better off jotting some notes on your labia than the palm of your hand, lady. Wait, the breaking of the goddamn glass door didn't trigger an alarm, but walking in did.
Detectives.
My boss eats dinner alone in a dark Italian restaurant, and it's also Ray Liotta cliche.
Hey, Slick, do we have a problem?
Pro tip, if you don't want the detectives suspecting you, maybe wait until they've cleared the building before jumping on a call to your dirty cops.
This is it. This is the place.
And luckily, it's within walking distance of both Midtown Manhattan and the real estate agency you broke into.
Claire Foster.
That's me.
I think Margie Mark is sexy too, but her whole world is on the line right now, and she's seriously this distracted by some abs.
You two make sex with us?
Holy shit, this movie should be called Famous People the Movie. There are way too many awesome famous people in this motherfucker. Who would have thought that there would be stars from everything from Empire to Big Mouth to Black Mirror to X-Men to Gossip Girl to The Avengers to The Happening to The Office to The Disaster Artist to Bad Moms to Mean Girls to Wonder Woman up in here.
Somebody tripped an alarm at a realty office. Security cam got these.
But how did the footage get to these detectives? This is the same night, like just a couple hours after this whole thing started. But the info from everywhere in New York is flooding right to the correct people within earshot of the wrong people at a breakneck pace. Looks cool, doesn't it? But can you imagine working with all those sound effects every day? He'd punch the out of this monitor after like 2 hours.
We have to get out of here fast. You have a better idea?
Then Grand Theft Auto? I don't know, but maybe at least take 1 second to ponder. Neither Armstrong nor Collins heard a garage door open and a goddamn muscle car drive past them. How did they ever become cops in the first place?
Yeah, let's pull over. This is great.
Of course, the lead characters need to fight before the climax of the movie. But this is so out of sorts for Claire. They're seriously in the middle of a goddamn manhunt in Manhattan, and she's terrified. This is just as up as Rachel McAdams' character in Game Night bringing up fertility treatments when they were searching the Fight Club house for the Fabergé egg.
If you would just trust me enough to handle things once in a while, but no, you don't. You have to do it all yourself, your way.
This movie essentially began with Phil helping Claire out by making the kids lunches. Why is this scene?
Everything you're doing, I'm doing in heels. I just want you to think about that.
This movie is casually hilarious, granted, but also I'm so accustomed to Tina Fey throwing out bon mots like this in American Express commercials that I'm unfortunately going to have to turn this into a cinnable circumstance.
And whip it.
Whip it like the dog?
No, like when you suck nitrous out of a whipped cream can.
What part about this couple leads you to believe they'd ever be caught dead at a fancy restaurant like Claw, and that they'd have the foresight to make a reservation at least a month in advance? More Rolling Rock? What an oddly specific and product placement.
It's a nice piece. What are we gonna do, have a duel at 10 paces?
Thomas Felton would be criminally good at CinemaSins.
They'll beg you to have sex with me like it's a gift. And forget about the back door!
This is definitely a time when a couple, even a couple like this, would be discussing anal sex.
Nothing you can't walk away from in 30 seconds. Bobby De Niro, he classic!
Explaining your references.
Come on home.
I guess he can forgetting about the back door, at least tonight.
No, I'm good. It's late. I've pretty much said everything I have to say to the other cops.
Why didn't Holbrook tell them this over the intercom that he used with the other cops? I get this seems to be a fairly deserted street, but it's still New York City on a Friday night. Many people would have heard that, and there would be a lot of ways of running down the Fosters without bringing so much attention to themselves.
We need to get you off of us!
We gotta go! We gotta go!
This goes on for some time.
Come on, man. Come on.
How in the ever-loving but these two know where Phil and Claire are? They'd already run like 10 city blocks to chase them. Then they've been driving for another couple minutes. Does this movie know that Manhattan is kind of big?
Oh my God, that's Crenshaw, that's the DA!
Thank God we saw that random news position about Crenshaw earlier, or this would be somehow the least believable thing in the movie. And I'm saying that while two cars have driven at least 20 blocks or so, still attached to each other's bumpers.
At the right, you're gonna take a hard right! I have a plan!
I'm not saying they couldn't hear each other and formulate a verbal plan here, but I am saying they couldn't hear each other and formulate a verbal plan here.
1, 2, 3! Stop your vehicle! Go!
I could just say this works, but this situation requires a much more emphatic this works. Wow, Claire and Phil managed to take out the entirety of the NYPD patrol just by going in reverse. Guess there's nothing left to see here. It's funny because he's wearing funny clothes, but those are also clothes that I'm having a hard time believing Mark Wahlberg's character would have in his car or anywhere near it.
Which is why Taste acted weird when you brought up Miletto's name.
So that brings up the question, why the did Armstrong and Collins ever bring up Miletto's name if they were getting a flash drive back for Crenshaw?
Has something to do with Crenshaw?
Yes, honey, it has everything to do with Crenshaw.
Mansplaining.
And will you, for the love of God, put on a shirt?
Come on in.
Not only did they catch the uber-successful, world-traveling Holbrook on a Friday night at home, he's way too generous in this movie. I'd buy that he's a good dude who wants to help, but he doesn't know this Phil asshole, and Phil literally just wrecked one of his luxury cars, and now he's giving him clothing demands.
It's supposed to be dark and seedy. Give a 40-year-old stripper/mom a break.
I think you mean whore. You said stripper, but you're supposed to be a whore, I think. I honestly don't know what this place is supposed to be, except a plot device to show Billy Fichtner do drugs and weird.
This is end of days kind of stuff.
I would give all the sins back to this movie if a trench coat wearing Arnold Schwarzenegger popped into this scene and said, I get it, Christ in New York.
Now I want you to go in there and pop that coochie.
I blame this scene for encouraging the relationship goals meme all the way back in 2010.
I like your look, honey. Very Wild West saloon chick.
Unfortunately, this line inspires William Fichtner to play a f***ed up repugnant character in that ill-fated Lone Ranger remake.
Yeah, there we go.
This entire plan revolves around Crenshaw finding either Claire or Phil or both super goddamn sexy. And while I can see it, there's no way this enters into boring taxman Phil's brain when he's making this plan up.
We're the triple horns.
Oh, you guys keep showing up.
I know, right? So how the didn't you see them before now?
You said that what was on that drive were the city contracts that I flowed your way. All this time, I've been keeping the cops off your ass!
All it takes is a rooftop standoff for all the villains to start expositing their evilness.
I'm a cop! Not anymore, you're not!
Oh, so that's how that works.
A helicopter and a SWAT team are part of the plan?
Yes, and I didn't even bother to let you in on any of this, honey, because reasons.
You two are under arrest for obstruction of justice, racketeering, conspiracy, I'm pretty sure prostitution.
This seasoned detective is charging the district attorney and forgets to read him the Miranda rights. I'm not going to play the music here for fear of Jackie Wilson's ghost coming back to sue my ass to hell, but I do have to note an obvious movie begins or ends by playing Your Love Keeps Lifting Me Higher and Higher cliche. Movie somehow ends on a more awkward sex scene than that crazy in Midsummer.
What? No.
Make sure you click that bell icon.
Sellouts.
But clicking the little bell icon is how you make sure you get notified every time we release a video. So click it.
Sellouts.
And ladies and gentlemen, the little man has admonished me to grasp the broom of reform and sweep this state clean.
I want to dance every night.
I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life.
So you just took somebody else's reservation?
See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the holding.
How the hell did this happen?
These two are not at all what they seem.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me.
XOXO. Gossip Girl.
Detective!
Claire Foster.
Holbrook Grant.
Say hi to your mother for me, okay?
I do all right.
I bet you do all kinds of right.
That was awkward.
Everything you're doing, I'm doing in heels.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
And forget about the back door.
Forget about it.
Ned Ryerson!
In a world without YouTube, who wasn't entertained by a Homer?
Point the gun at me. Point the gun at me.
There you go. Now, Vincent, you just hang back and don't do a goddamn thing.